Welcome everybody to this AI Invoicing webinar. I think this might be a fairly short session today, as we're going to give you a little bit of background into how our AI works here at Voly, and then take you through a quick demo. And then we've got a couple of frequently asked questions I'd like to take you through, and then we'll open the floor to any other questions. And that's the agenda for today. With me today is Kirsty, who many of you may know, who is our Chief Product Officer. And my name is Nick. I am the Product Manager here at Voly. So I'll be taking you through the presentation. I'll be giving you the demo, and Kirsty's going to be keeping an eagle eye on the Q&A section and answer any questions as we go along. So first and foremost, how does invoicing work in Voly? So it's a fairly simple, straightforward solution here. So the first step is to upload an invoice, and this happens on the Voly platform. And there's a couple of ways that you can do this. So you can either drag it onto the page, or you can select the AI invoicing button, and I will show you that. Then what's going to happen is Voly is going to process that invoice, and it's going to check it's the right format of data and send that packet through to AWS, which is where we start the AI pipeline. So the first step is to extract all the data, and within this, we will make sure it is formatted correctly. We extract all of that data using AWS Textract, which is an OCR character recognition tool. Then what's going to happen is we're going to send that through to our interpretation tool. Now, what's happening in the interpretation tool is we're going to combine this with your combine the invoice data we've got from the text extraction with your categories and your suppliers, and then AI is going to contextualize that and select the appropriate category for each line item. Note, we will only match on suppliers if that supplier already exists, making sure that you have full control in case you need to create another supplier. Finally, this is sent back to the front end, sent back to the Voly platform, where you have you've been patiently waiting, and we are there to populate a draft invoice for you. This draft invoice you can go through, you can check everything, and you can make sure that it's all correct, and then you're going to submit that, or you're going to save that as a draft. Now I'm going to take you through a very quick demo that's going to show you how that works. Okay. So apologies, you can see Kirsty twice. Rightio. So here you will see we are on the invoices page on my asset, and I'm going to select AI invoice here. Here is a couple of invoices I have created previously. I just navigate to them. Apologies. And we're going to see that that's going to immediately start going through that pipeline that we just took you through. So it's extracting all of that text, it's doing the interpretation, and it's matching it to my categories. And then before you know it, within a couple of seconds, it's going to create a draft invoice for me, just like that. And as you can see, it is matched on my supplier, Majestic Doors. It has put a default description in there. Not many invoices come with a description, so we've put an AI-generated draft invoice description in there, which we can update. It matches the invoice number. And it's, as you can see here, it's selected all the categories, and it's matched that, and it's matched those values and the VAT values. It's also included the receipt itself, so I can go through and I can check that that's correct. Excellent. I can see those numbers line up perfectly. And then I'm going to submit that invoice. Easy peasy. And what we see here is this is a new way for us to import invoices, but it doesn't change anything in terms of how we go about how we go about checking that they're all okay and making sure that they go through the approval stages. So that's everything's fine there. I can submit my invoices, and it behaves just as a regular invoice would that we would expect on Voly. Perfect. As I say, that was a very quick demo, and I'm now going to take you back and answer a couple of frequently asked questions that we get quite a bit. So moving back to my slides. First question that always comes up is my data secure? And the short answer is yes, absolutely, your data is secure. The safety of your data, of everything that you have in there, is paramount to us, and all invoice data, whether it's AI generated or otherwise, is only accessible to you in your asset. For a bit more detail, there are three areas I've broken this down into. So encryption, so the data is encrypted at transit and at rest, which means that even if somebody was able to see that data, it wouldn't make any sense because it needs to be decrypted before you guys can see it. We also have access controls. The same level of access controls exist as they always have, and you have complete control over who is able to see what they need to see. So those robust access controls, which I think most of you will be familiar with, allow you to handle your invoices as you need to. And finally, we have file validation. So what's happening with file validation is it ensures that only certain formats of file are able to go into our system, and that is really a first point of security for us, to make sure that there's no malicious files being added to the system. The second question we seem to get we get a lot is my data being used to train AI models? And the answer to this is no. This is the short answer. So we opted out of ensuring that the tools that we use are training the generic AI models. So we use AWS, a tool called Textract, which pulls the data out, and that text extraction tool, it will take the file, it will analyze it, and then it deletes that file. And then the analyzed data, which comes in the format that we need, that gets taken to the interpretation tool. It will analyze that. It will do the category matching, the supplier matching, and then it will delete that data. So no data is sent to third parties, only the tools that we have contracts with, that we use, which is within the AWS ecosystem. Okay, so that concludes the presentation. Have you any questions?
Thanks.
Kirsty, what have you got?
We've got a couple of questions in here. So Victoria, you're asking around if the VAT module is disabled, will the VAT still be allocated? The short answer is yes, the VAT will still be allocated. But for those of you who know, we've got a setting within Voly where you can absolutely disable the VAT. And what that means is any VAT that is allocated will automatically be added to the gross total amount against the category within that line. So it won't break down the VAT for you in the reports. And that's just a simple setting that we are able to kind of manage through there. But what we've not got at the moment is the ability to kind of tell the AI that we don't want to split out the VAT. So it will do that, but we can make sure that the reporting is correct. And then we've had a question from Sophie. Can we upload 9 to 10 pages of invoices? Absolutely, you can upload 9 to 10 pages of invoices. There is no limitation for how big those invoices are. So even with your large shipyard invoices, for example, it will just take a little bit longer for it to kind of work its way through. And what will then happen is it will kind of continue to read that data in the background. And as soon as that's ready, it will then produce the draft invoice for you, so that you can then kind of continue on with anything else that you are doing in the platform. And yes, different languages also will work because it is reading that data as it sits on the invoice. So any language invoices that you've got there, it will just extract that data as it appears on the invoice. Will this work with uploads that might be a picture of the physical invoice? It depends on the format. But yes, it should be able to read the data. It is not just pure PDFs. It will read a JPEG image as well. So yeah, you should be fine if it is a picture of an invoice too. Can you bulk upload files with invoices from different, not bulk upload, but because of the way it works, in terms of just dragging and dropping those invoices in and it producing the draft invoices for you, you can just continue to sort of drop those in and it will read the data, and you can kind of carry on with the next upload and the next upload. And then once they're all ready, you will see then you've got a number of drafts sat waiting for you to submit and sort of double check. Any other questions coming through on here?
One here from Victoria. I think it's just a clarification. So if there are invoice and backup documents, we need to make sure that supporting documents are added later on. Yes, that's correct, as you would today. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. What is the accuracy rate? That we are getting 100% accuracy on the breakdown of the lines and the values and the descriptions that are in there. Where the accuracy rate against categories, that is something that we are going to measure when we go live, because we're only going to be able to understand that once our users actually start using the platform and we see how many times those categories have to be changed. So that is something that we are going to be tracking really, really closely once we go live, and we'll be able to hopefully then start to work with the model to train it to improve that accuracy as you guys start using it. When is the feature live? 2 weeks time, Holly, it will be live. So we are just starting to switch it on and do our final testing. And it is going to be available to everybody. And Jake, yes, this will be available for anyone who can add an invoice, will be able to add an invoice in this way. So it doesn't take away the ability to add an invoice manually. You'll still be able to go into the invoices platform and click add invoice and add that information. So if you don't necessarily want all of the lines broken down, you can absolutely still do that. But this is something that if somebody has the permissions to add an invoice, then they will be able to use this tool to do that. Matt, are there any other AI features in the pipeline? Yes, we have a few things that we are working on at the moment. And yeah, we will definitely share a little bit more of that over the next couple of months. Graham, if we have a large invoice from a provisioner, will you be able to group items rather than having a large amount of lines? Yeah, I mean, this is where from the ability to kind of go and edit the information once it's imported, you have those tools to still go and do that. So, for example, if you've got a provisioner that's listing out every single individual line of fruit and veg, this might not be a tool that you want to use because you don't want that kind of full breakdown. But as with Volley, you can go in, you can edit lines, you can copy lines, you can delete lines. You've still got all of the same abilities that you would have with a manual invoice to consolidate and categorize however you wish. Will this be on the Charter platform? Absolutely, it will be on all Volley assets. So you can use this anywhere. And I guess with the Charter side of things, you'll just need to go in and add those cost centers, because there won't be any reference in the invoices to those particular cost centers where we're coding it to the charters, but everything else should hopefully match up pretty well for you. I think we've got everybody there. Any more questions from anybody before we sign off today?
I'm just looking at the Q&A section. I think we've answered the webinar chat questions, but the Q&A, there's a couple in here.
Okay.
Once the AI draft is approved, will there be history showing that this came in as an AI invoice?
No, there won't. It will just behave like a normal invoice. So because it is just reading the data, and then the user still has to validate and submit that, it just behaves like any other invoice. It is just a way of time saving that breakdown should you wish to use it.
Are the line items still maxed at 45 lines from Natasha?
No, they are not. No, it will read however many lines are in the invoices.
Michael White, if there are any uncertainties from the AI scan, how will it highlight these for us to verify?
So just like with any invoice, if it can't read the data will be blank. So if, for example, it can't match a category, and you try and submit it, then you are going to get that sort of highlighted to say there is no category there. The same with the supplier, it will not create supplier accounts for you. So if it can't match the supplier, then the supplier will be left blank and you would not be able to submit the invoice at that point. If you attempted to submit, you would see that highlighted in red to say that that information is required.
Excellent. Ole asks, how about GDPR compliance with this new feature?
Well, we can send you a sort of all the information of how we store that data. I don't think it kind of touches on any personal information. I think as Nick mentioned earlier, the tool that we're using in AWS is completely separated for each of our clients, and the data is not stored. So as soon as the data is read, the AWS program that we're using, which is Amazon Web Services, will immediately delete that data. So we don't believe that there is any GDPR risk here. It's the same as adding an invoice to the platform as you would now, but we can certainly share more information with anybody who is interested in some of the data security side.
Yes.
Can you run the AI invoicing and save it as a draft to check over later? Absolutely, Jake. That is how this works. So every invoice that is added is automatically saved as a draft. And then it is a requirement to double check that data and hit submit. If you don't want to hit submit, it will stay as a draft until you are ready to go in and submit that. So that is absolutely how it works, which again, if you wanted to go in and add multiples and then go in and submit them later, you can do that in the platform as well.
Okay, I think. Oh, there's a few more coming in on the Q&A.
Okay.
If I upload 100 receipts, for example, from one client, can AI create the invoice for me?
Well, we have not tried 100 receipts, but if they were within a single document, or sort of were being read as multiple pages of a single document, then yes, potentially it could add an invoice for you. But maybe we could have a sort of a separate demo and understand what format those receipts would come in, and we can see if that's something that we can help you guys out with. And then Victoria, will it be possible to translate invoices at one point? Yes, potentially. That is something that we are looking at setting in the same way we have a reporting currency, also having a reporting language, so we can do those conversions. That is a tool that we will be looking at, Victoria. I think
Alexander asks, which AI models does AWS Bedrock use? So AWS Bedrock is an orchestration tool, which means that it will select the best models available for the tool at hand. So that might vary month on month, but the output is the same. So it may use different LLMs depending on what is most available and can be used most quickly at any given time. So the answer is it varies. Okay. Has the AI function been tested for security gaps? Or has the platform as a whole had a pen test?
Absolutely, yes. So the reason we're using AWS is because that is the same platform that all of our servers are hosted on, and we have had multiple pen tests. We do this on a regular basis. We use an external company to kind of make sure that our software is secure. But again, more than happy to share some additional information around how we manage that, and also how AWS manages the security of the platform as well.
Okay, great. I think that's all your questions.
Yes, thank you very much, Nick.
Oh, when the last pen test was and scope would be great. Great to see it taken seriously. Okay, thank you, Matt. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. We can certainly share some of that information with you and the companies that we use, no problem at all. We'll touch base after the session. Thanks, Matt.
Perfect. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Kirsty.
Thanks, guys.
Guys, bye.
Bye.